think you are. And over again, you say you love me, but you try to hurt me. And over again, you say you love me, but just wanna fool me. And over again, I fight these feelings, but you're fooling me. And over again, overthinking in my head. Over and over again.
The shelter's light buzzed much louder than the office's had, a deranged choir overhead. Lena counted the stains on the once white drop-ceiling tiles for the millionth time. She eyed the askew one, placing another silent bet with herself on when it would finally cave in and fall. 3 months of this: soup kitchens, bus station bathrooms, homeless shelters. Now she understood why Naomi had looked the way she had. Lena gave up on feeling as clean as she once had by the end of week 1. She'd given the rest of her salary to pay in advance for her mother's medical care. Now that she was no longer employed at Voss Industries, she no longer carried their health insurance. She thought she'd bought herself enough time, but now she was nervous. The job hunt wasn't going the way she'd planned. It was one thing to be on the streets herself, another thing to have her mother homeless. Her phone, sold last month for cash, lived in her mind now. She imagined the alerts: missed call, Evelyn Voss. Text, come home, EV. Lena knew the woman was waiting. Evelyn was more powerful than she let on. She could keep tabs on her if she wanted. She probably had been, unbeknownst to Lena. The realization was bitter. She's betting on me breaking first. At dawn, Lena stole a pen from one of the shelter volunteers. Scrunching up her shirt sleeve, she wrote on her forearm, "Don't go back." But by noon, the ink had sweated into a blur. Her mind flipped into contingency mode when Lena left. She'd been the first to leave against Evelyn's will. Evelyn silently praised the girl for her resilience and self-will. It had been 3 months, and she'd expected Lena to crack by the end of the 3rd week. She'd only checked on her once, refusing to commit any more of her time to the wandering soul. Lena knew where home was. But she hadn't bet on her stubborn will to last this long. Evelyn had chosen well. The email came in on Saturday at 2:17 a.m. From lhart@tempmail.com. Subject, no subject. Attachment, LH app, PDF. The PDF was a scanned resume from Lena's initial application to Voss Industries, the dark lines indicating crumples in the paper. A white flag. Evelyn smiled in the darkness. Her reply was instant. From evoss@vossindustries.com. Subject, regarding no subject. 327 West 44th, Suite 4B. Key under the mat. Return to work on Monday. She included no questions, nor any apologies. Let her wonder if I ever missed her. The apartment was nothing more than a shoebox with a buzzer. Nothing like the last 2 accommodations from Voss Industries. The air was stale and bleached, not fresh and cool. No smell of steeping tea or bergamot and sandalwood. Lena stood in the doorway, the key biting into her palm as she squeezed. Lena knew Evelyn was sending a message. A single orchid sat on the kitchen counter, its blooms drooping. The attached note read, "Welcome back." There was no name underneath the gold writing. None was needed. Lena slept for 14 hours. When she returned to the imposing building housing Voss Industries on Monday, she slunk to her old desk, hoping to avoid Evelyn. But she was not so fortunate. There she stood, in her composed, icy glamour, waiting for Lena. "Miss Hart, your desk is as you left it," she stated, her hand gesturing to the cluttered work area. She furrowed her brows and hesitated. She expected to have at least been replaced in those 3 months, for her stuff to have been cleared out. Why? Productivity requires routine. Evelyn let her gaze rake up and down Lena's form. And you've always been predictable. Lena flinched at the barb, then gritted her teeth. She may have come back, but that didn't mean she needed to give this woman exactly what she wanted. Evelyn Voss expected Lena to revolve around her as if she were the sun of her solar system. Lena refused. It got under Evelyn's skin, and the work became a punishment. She reduced Lena's role, assigning her spreadsheets, excluding her from strategy meetings. Her fingers cramped as she dutifully did data entry, but she longed for the taste of decision-making she'd been given many months before. Still, she reveled in Evelyn's need to retaliate. It meant she was winning. One lunch, Evelyn left a new vitamin bottle on her desk, stress support, and a note. "Take 2 with food. You're paler than I remember." Lena chucked them in a trash can closer to the executive suite, making sure she would see. Pushing Evelyn gave Lena the energy she needed to grind through the mountain of paperwork she was forced to do. Until an eviction letter fluttered from her mailbox like a dead leaf. The apartment's security feed played on Evelyn's second monitor. Lena pacing, muttering, tearing the eviction notice to shreds, cursing Evelyn's name. Lena played her game well, but the discarded vitamins let Evelyn know she needed to rein her in. She turned her rage toward the orchid still on the counter. To Evelyn's surprise, Lena did her best to bring the blooms back to life when she moved in, succeeding. Now, she stared at them with contempt. Evelyn watched as she crumpled the flower in a coiled fist before throwing it to the shabby carpet. Hunger was a better leash than guilt. Hey, this is Parasocial Panther just popping in to say thank you for listening to this audio. Hopefully you're enjoying Black Orchid and my channel in general. It's been really nice to make stories and audios for you guys. If you haven't done so yet, I have a nice little Discord server in which people in the community are right in the middle of Inktober. It's been nice to see everyone's renditions of the prompts. So head over there if you'd like to. Also, Patreon has been contributing to the growth of this channel. And if you would like to contribute and have access to behind-the-scenes things, prequels, and an exclusive Patreon-only audio story, pop on over there and become a member. I would appreciate it, and I think you'll like what you find. Both the Discord and Patreon links are in my bio and in the description of this video. Go ahead and check those out. And if you haven't already, please like this video, comment on it, and subscribe to the channel overall. All right, now back to it. Lena threw herself into work, into silence, into ignoring the need to orbit Evelyn. She'd tried to dip a toe into the pond of pleasing the woman again, but found the water frigid. Evelyn didn't respond to her bids for reconnection, jade eyes never landing on her for more than a millisecond. So Lena sank into herself, the eviction ticking ever closer. She found herself drafting emails she'd never send. I hate you. Why won't you look at me? I miss you. She laughed aloud at that one, then buried her head in her hands. On day 29, Evelyn arrived at the apartment while Lena sat on the floor, bag half-heartedly packed. Lena didn't look up as she let herself in, because, of course, she had a key. Evelyn stood behind her, assessing the quiet around them. "Stay," she said. "Why?" "Because you want to." The truth pulsed between them, underneath those spoken words. "Because I'll allow it." Lena's shoulders shook with a furious laugh. "Go to hell, Evelyn." The shelter took her back, and the volunteers gave sad smiles, as if Lena were another who had tried to get out, but just couldn't. Bad luck, they probably thought. She didn't explain that this was technically a choice. A bad one, but hers nonetheless. As she lay on the thin cot, the familiar spring stabbing her back, she pictured Evelyn in her penthouse. Lena knew she'd pissed her off. The eviction had been a power play. She'd wanted Lena to beg. Lena was willing to give a bit, but when it was clear Evelyn would not be happy with anything less than a bended knee, she refused. Evelyn hadn't expected the rebellion. But this wasn't over. Evelyn would wait. Lena's resolve would thin and fray. Their cycle would spin on. The shelter burned in the dead of winter. Lena woke to screaming and pluming smoke. Bodies surged toward exits choked with flames. She made the immediate decision that she did not want to die in a crowd crush. She covered her mouth and nose, crouching low and searching for an alternate way to get out. A broken window that had been boarded up beckoned her as an option, though she had nothing to break it with. Still, she wasn't going to die without trying. Strong hands yanked her back and pushed her to the ground again. "Open windows fan fires," a man growled at her. "Crawl that way." He pushed her in a direction, through the smoke, shielding her body. Disoriented, Lena did her best to follow his instructions, crawling across debris as his large body blocked falling lumber, burnt ceiling tiles, and panicked people from above. She noticed they seemed to be headed toward the origin of the fire and not away. She stopped, unsure of what to do. "Go!" he barked. Lena shook her head. "But the fires..." The man had no patience for her reasoning. He merely picked her up, doing his best to cover her body with his own. He barreled through the area, and Lena screwed her eyes shut, not wanting to see anymore. Cold air hit her, and Lena gasped, her lungs sucking in the sharp air. She tried to get her bearings as she was placed back down on the ground. The fire roared behind her, and Lena jumped as she heard a window blow out, the glass shards raining into the alleyway beside her. She was steered toward a black town car. The door wrenched open, and she was pushed inside. Lena smelled her before she saw her. Evelyn draped a coat around her shoulders, fingers lingering. "You're shaking," she whispered. "Don't." Lena's teeth chattered, adrenaline and cold coursing through her. Don't pretend you didn't..." "Didn't what?" Evelyn cupped Lena's jaw, thumb tenderly stroking the skin, drawing Lena's gaze to hers. "Save you?" They both knew Lena's accusation, but when she saw the worry notched into Evelyn's eyes, Her bravery crumbled. Tears began tracking down her dusty cheeks. Come now. Evelyn pulled her close. Lena sagged into the embrace, her face pressed into Evelyn's neck, tears wetting her collarbone. I've got you. Evelyn's penthouse received her like an old friend. She slumped against the wall of the pristine shower until her skin pruned, scrubbing away her desperation and failings. There were many cuts on her hands from crawling through rubble, but she was too numb to acknowledge the stinging. When she emerged, Evelyn was waiting with a wool robe, bandages, and a steaming mug of tea. After wrapping Lena's hands, she pushed the tea into them. Chamomile, she said, to help with sleep. Lena glanced down into the mug and then back up to Evelyn. Nothing else added. Evelyn assured her with a small smile. Promise. Lena still wasn't completely convinced, looking back into the mug a second time. She tried to see if she could see anything floating. Why would I trust that it's not poisoned? She asked. Evelyn's laugh was like velvet. If I wanted you dead, I'd have let the fire finish the job. 2 fingers lifted the bottom of the mug. Drink. Lena did. She woke screaming, terror clawing her throat as she envisioned the flames engulfing the shelter. Evelyn was there before the echoes of the screaming faded, wrapping her in a blanket, stroking her hair. I'm here, she whispered. I'm here. Lena's traitorous body curled into the touch, even as her pride tried to stop her. God, I hate you, she said, bitterness coloring her tone. She expected Evelyn to separate from her then, but her nails scraped Lena's scalp, soft and methodical. I know. You're a bitch. Yes, you caused this. In a way, I wish you would die. And where would that leave you? Lena didn't answer that. Instead, she kept spewing all that hate she could muster into the soft cotton covering Evelyn's chest. You should have let me die. Evelyn's stroking hand paused. I would never allow it. Lena hiccuped. Why? Because, Lena. Evelyn dropped a feather-like kiss to the top of her head. You're mine to break, and you're mine to rebuild. That silenced Lena, her tears halting. In a strange way, the words comforted her. In another way, they strangled her. She couldn't live without permission. She couldn't die without permission. An orchid in Evelyn Voss's greenhouse. Her eyes slipped closed, and when she woke again, Evelyn's arm was slung over her waist, breath synced to hers. Any thought of pulling away was smothered by the warmth in the embrace. Morning light filtered into the penthouse through the gauzy curtains, splaying across the table as Evelyn arranged breakfast. Matcha lattes, almond croissants, and a bowl of sliced persimmons. Lena hung back and watched, caressing her bandaged hands in apprehension. Evelyn glanced at her. Come sit. She pulled out a chair, but Lena stared at the table, her feet unmoving. Lena, come sit, Evelyn repeated. Hypoglycemia dulls your wit, and I'd hate to lose our sparring. She flashed the girl a smile. Or why save you? Every step reluctant, Lena shuffled to the open seat and lowered herself. Evelyn then placed a tablet in front of her, The screen lit up with security footage, time-stamped the night of the shelter fire. Watch. On screen, a flicker in the shelter basement's wiring, a spark leaping to old insulation. Within seconds, flames crawled up the insulation. Mere minutes later, the entire basement was overwhelmed. No shadowy figures, no paid arsonists, just decay and neglect. Lena's breath hitched, and she turned. You didn't do this? Evelyn sighed. I'm many things, Lena. But one thing I am not is wasteful. She zoomed in on the timestamp, 9:07 p.m. My security team alerted me at 9:15. The car arrived at 9:23. Lena stared at the tablet, her eyes watching the fire melt the wiring and insulation. You let me think you did it, she breathed. Evelyn sipped her matcha. You assumed. I simply didn't correct you. Lena fell silent and tore off a piece of her croissant. She eyed Lena's hands, then rose to get more bandages and burn cream. Returning, she placed the items down between them. The shelter was a tinderbox. The city's ignored code violations for years. But you knew, Lena said, wincing as Evelyn took a hand and began unwrapping it. True, I knew. But for all my many talents, I couldn't have predicted this. Lena hissed at the ointment. I also knew how much you wanted it to be me. So, I allowed it to be true for a night. Her gaze flickered up to Lena's. It's harder to hate me when I'm not quite the villain you want me to be, isn't it? Tears filled Lena's eyes, and she ripped her hand from Evelyn. Shut up. They watched each other for a moment before Evelyn reached for her again. I hate that you're not lying, Lena choked out. Evelyn nodded. I know. Evelyn wasn't one to delete many things. She liked covering her bases, keeping files in case they became handy later. But her finger hovered over the delete button, the audio and its transcript in front of her. The timestamp read 8:52 p.m., and her security chief's words. Okay, we secured the perimeter, but like I mentioned, I can smell charring metal. That shelter will be a lost cause in a matter of minutes, boss. Get her? Evelyn's reply. Wait. Let the fire spread to Block C first, then retrieve her. 10-4. Evelyn glanced over at the sleeping girl next to her. She allowed her to stay another night, determining her mentally too fragile to return to life just yet. However, Lena was proving stronger than she accounted for. A pleasant, unexpected gift. But this didn't serve them. Evelyn pressed the red trash can. She'd let Lena cling to her fragile truth. It was kinder. The key to 4B weighed heavier this time. The driver had given it to her along with a note. Your terms, not mine. As if Lena ever had terms. Inside, everything was as she'd left it, a pause in time. Another Orchid sat atop the laminate counter, no note this time. At work, Evelyn was glacial. She moved by Lena without a passing glance. Assignments came via email. Compile these reports. Draft non-disclosure agreements for. All mundane tasks that inhibited the taste of freedom she'd been given. Lena stood at the head of the conference table, files meticulously arranged in front of her. Evelyn was at the far end, present, but detached from the negotiation, sipping an espresso. Two clients from Kyoto Heavy Industries fidgeted in their seats, their translator murmuring to them nervously. Then, the translator turned to Evelyn. With respect, Miss Voss, we expected to negotiate terms directly with you. This junior associate... Evelyn held up a hand, stopping the man. Her tone was frosty. Miss Hart is my liaison. If you find her junior, you failed to read the dossier she prepared on your company's creative accounting. She looked at Lena. Proceed. Lena tapped her tablet, and the projector behind her lit up with a cascade of data. Your offshore subsidiaries in Singapore diverted 18% of last quarter's revenue to shell companies. We've adjusted our offer accordingly. She slid revised contracts across the table. Page 12, Clause 7B. You'll find Voss Industries' liability protections now reflect your risk appetite. Mr. Sato paled as his translator stammered through the translation. Then he gave her a dirty look, like she didn't belong there. He said something, and the translator turned back. This is aggressive! Lena paused, then leaned forward on the table. Aggressive? She spoke directly to Mr. Sato. She had a feeling they understood English more than they let on. Aggressive is billing 3 factories for equipment you never installed. More than aggressive. That's downright predatory. We, she gestured to Evelyn, are simply thorough. Sign, and we bury the audit. Or leave, and explain to your shareholders why their stock is cratering by noon. The clients looked at each other, and she praised herself for guessing their language skills accurately. Evelyn placed her cup down on its saucer, the clinking drawing attention. She smiled at them. She's kinder than I am. I would have leaked the photos of your CEO's hobby farm in Belize, which, we all know, isn't as sweet as it sounds. Then she tilted her head, glanced at the contract, and then back at Mr. Sato, the principal decision-maker. When he reached for the contract and brandished a pen from his breast pocket, Evelyn's eyes caught Lena's. A curl of her lip and a wink was all the approval she received, and all she needed. The silence was worse than cruelty. Lena caught herself rehearsing arguments in the bathroom mirror. Look at me. Tell me what you want. But Evelyn floated through meetings, untouchable, her gaze skating over Lena like she was office furniture. By the week's end, Lena had had enough. She cornered Evelyn in the executive lounge, her voice trembling. Why bring me back just to ignore me? Evelyn sipped her espresso, unblinking. You're here to work, not to be coddled. Bullshit. You just want me to beg. A flicker of something, approval, crossed Evelyn's face. Do you need to? Lena had no response to that, so she stormed out, ears burning. That night, Evelyn left a dossier on Lena's desk, a charity project for the shelter survivors. Lena was to head the task force. A sticky note attached to the front said, "Don't disappoint them." But Lena knew what that meant. Don't disappoint me. But when it was all said and done, when the charity gala had been put together, when others congratulated Lena on her planning skills, Evelyn Voss's silence was the only thing she heard. "You're an angel," one woman said, clutching Lena's hand. She smiled and graciously accepted the compliment. But her attention was torn to the woman across the banquet hall. "Look at me," she willed her. But Evelyn never did. Back inside her apartment, the orchid wilted, its slow death mocking. Lena watered it obsessively, pruned where she could, pleas bouncing around her mind. "Come back. Grow again. Talk to me. See me." One midnight, she found herself outside the penthouse elevator, drunk on cheap wine and fury. She didn't care about the security guard watching her warily. Her key card ceased to function, and she rang the bell, requesting access until it was disabled. She looked up at the camera in the corner. "I know you're watching," she slurred. "You win, okay? I'm here. Happy now?" The intercom crackled, and Evelyn's voice came through, devoid of any warmth. "Go home, Lena." Lena was still assigned mandatory overtime, but now Evelyn wasn't around. For 3 days straight, Lena worked on a project alone while Evelyn was in Zurich. No emails, no texts, nothing. She refused to go home, haunting the office through the weekend. "You don't need her. You hate her, remember?" She laughed at her thoughts like they were the funniest things to ever cross her mind. Evelyn returned at dawn, heels cracking through the office like gunshots. It was before anyone normally arrived, but here Lena Hart was, face nestled among papers and plastic dinnerware. She stood there, waiting to see how long it would take Lena to become aware. When she did, she startled awake. "Pathetic," Evelyn said, tossing a keycard in front of her face. "Go shower. You smell like despair." The card was for Evelyn's penthouse. The shower ran scalding, and Lena allowed her skin to burn. Exiting, she wrapped herself in Evelyn's robe. It swallowed her, the plush fabric reaching past her hands. When she appeared in the kitchen, Evelyn was already waiting, plating a freshly made omelet. "Eat." Lena sat herself at the bar, taking the liberty of pouring herself a glass of cool water. She peered at Evelyn through the rising steam of the omelet. "Why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" "This." Lena gestured to the food, the robe, an unspoken truce. "You're not kind." Evelyn leaned on the opposite side of the bar, sharing space with Lena. "No, but I am curious." "About what?" "How long you'll starve for my attention." Any hunger faded, and Lena crossed her arms. "You want me to hate you?" "I want you to choose me." Evelyn leaned in further. "Even when you don't have to."
Too much.